to Special Report. Well, the GOP-led House Homeland Security Committee is holding their second and final impeachment hearing to impeach Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas today. And that's the news that's going on here on the House. And we're going to bring in former Special Operations Director of DEA, Derek Maltz, to get his reaction to the impeachment. Derek, thank you so much for joining Special Report.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so do you think this impeachment today will amount to anything?
Look, I'm big on action, not words. There's been a lot of hearings. Actually, I participated in the Homeland Security Committee's hearing that they had several months ago, and the ranking member of the committee was actually saying this was a waste of his time because he didn't recognize the death and destruction that all Americans now are facing because of this wide open border. So yeah, I'm not a fan of just the news. I want to see some results, and I want to see the death rates of all these American kids going down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the majority of Americans want to start seeing results. And let's shift gears now. The GOP House Judiciary Committee, they released a new report that just came out today that states a shocking 617,000 illegal aliens are on ICE's non-detained docket who have criminal convictions or are pending criminal charges. This report goes through a list of how bad Biden's open border policies are and the consequences that we are having here in America because of it. And one of the key parts of this report that I want to highlight and get your reaction to is the different 170 different countries that the illegal aliens are coming in from our border. But some of those key countries, as we can see here on the screen, are from these special interest countries, those that have a terrorist nexus. And China is the #1 country on this list. In 2023, China had 24,048 illegal Chinese nationals that crossed into the United States. The majority of those are single male adults.
Yep.
But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is fiscal year 2024. We are off to a worse start. We already have 9,044 Chinese nationals that have crossed the southern border illegally in between the ports of entry, and 8,057 of those are single adults. So we are on a trajectory of going 7,000% increase in Chinese nationals the last 2 years. So Derek, this is alarming. What is your reaction to this?
Well, for one, let's listen to what the FBI director has told everybody in America, that China is the biggest national security threat to our country. So every American should be concerned. Why are all these military-age men from China coming into the country? Now, the warnings have gone out not just for the Chinese, but the Hamas-inspired attacks, the Hezbollah operatives that are out there upset the fact that we're going after the Houthis now in Yemen. So yeah, every American has to be concerned. But one of the big points, Tera, that's not being discussed too much is we've all heard about the gotaway numbers, right? So we're up to what, 1.8 million known gotaways in the country. We have no idea how many of those people are on the terror watch list. How many of those are rapists and criminals and violent felons out there in the world? Because there's no way to know what you don't know. But more important than that, when you look at the fact that the Department of Homeland Security, their job is to keep Americans safe. But now they're not even telling Americans, how many of these gotaways are here in our country. The only reason we know about that is because the Border Patrol and other folks in the Department of Homeland Security are leaking this information because they're upset. They're not able to do the job of keeping Americans safe. And now it's already January 18th. We don't know the December numbers. They haven't come out yet. Tomorrow on Friday, they'll probably do a Friday dump again just because they don't want the public to know. Because this is a political liability for the current administration because it's a disaster. And every American should be paying attention because this impacts all of us.
Yeah, Derek, and on the bright side of all of this, I think people are. We've talked about it before when it comes to the economy and it comes to the open borders. Those are two key issues, and I would argue to say the #2 key issues that will determine this 2024 election. Case in point, My aunt, over 80 years old, been a lifelong Democrat. Because of the open borders, because of stories of kids being kicked out of schools like in New York, and because of the economy, she is voting for Trump, for Republican for the first time. But we were talking with Moshe earlier. You just mentioned Yemen, the Houthis. And he was talking about how drugs are fueling a lot of this. So I want you real quickly, in the minute or so we have remaining, as we look at this poster behind you of fentanyl, can you talk about the relationship between China and the Mexican cartels as it pertains to the United States and the poisonings that we've seen?
Well, I mean, China's had a long history of providing chemicals to the Mexican cartels to make methamphetamine. And then they started producing the synthetic drugs, K2 and Spice. We had many, many bodegas owned by Yemenis in America that was selling this poisonous substance on the streets. Then the Chinese went to producing pure fentanyl, selling it on websites. Then they went to producing or providing all the chemicals to produce fentanyl in Mexico. And now the cartels are being used as a proxy to distribute all these poisonous substances. But the other thing that people are not connecting here is that the Chinese are also providing the money laundering services to the cartels, which are helping them produce more efficient business processes so their chemicals are coming quicker, the money's going back to the leadership quicker. So it's an absolute disaster what's evolved, and it started under the Obama-Biden administration, and now it's in full speed ahead under the current administration. So, yeah, it's really alarming, and the pictures behind me are just a snapshot of the death and destruction. One last thing. You see this here for all Americans watching. We're at red right now. We're at the most severe level of homeland security threat. This was implemented after 9/11, but this is the new threat to all Americans. So pay attention, because make sure you know what's around you, because there's a lot of unknowns in the country.
That there are. And thank you again for sharing that, Derek. I do appreciate it. Not that it's news that we want to hear.
And thank you for all that you do. You're fighting every single day. Thank you.
Yeah. Real America's Voice has been committed from day one with the family, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
Proud to do it. It's an honor. All right, coming up, all eyes are on New Hampshire. What are the latest polls saying? We will have Michelle Backus back with us. She knows I love doing that in just a moment.